You're at church and you're singing your heart out, and then all of a sudden someone does this.
And you are mine.
Now you're not singing your heart out so much. So the question is, how much should church musicians play? I'm wading into a big debate here. Longtime worship leader Don Moen said this.
Somebody wants to overplay all the time. You need to be strong enough as a leader to just say, all right, Mr. Guitar Player, time out.
But big-time music theory YouTuber Adam Neely said this.
I'm not saying that overplaying is good, but I'm saying that personal expression of a joyful noise should not be looked down upon.
Musicians at church enjoy playing music and often want to play more. But other people at church aren't so musical and often just want to sing and praise God. So how do these two fit together? Do they fit together? In this video, you're not going to hear my opinion. You're going to hear the opinion of someone who stood up for Christ in the face of Nazi Germany. Someone who joined the plot to kill Adolf Hitler, and someone who died just a few weeks before the end of World War II in a concentration camp. That person is Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And when it comes to music and singing, Dietrich Bonhoeffer says, less is more. He makes a plea for less when it comes to our music and singing as Christians. But he'll say that actually less will lead to more. And as we'll see, he backs up his opinion with the Bible. All of these thoughts come from his book, Life Together. It's a short little book all about what it means to be part of a Christian community. Effectively, part of a church. Bonhoeffer makes 3 quick points from Ephesians 5 verse 19. He says we should sing from the heart. The heart sings because it is overflowing with Christ. That is why all singing in church is a spiritual performance. He says we should sing to the Lord. Where the singing is not to the Lord, it is singing to the honour of the self or the music. And he says we should sing the word to each other. Why do Christians sing when they are together? The reason is quite simply because in singing together, it is possible for them to speak and pray the same word at the same time. Here they can unite in the word. So Bonhoeffer can summarise by saying, thus, the music is completely the servant of the word. And because of all of this, Bonhoeffer makes a really big deal about singing in unison. When he's talking about unison singing, he's talking about everyone singing the same tune at the same time. Because it is bound wholly to the word, the singing of the congregation is essentially singing in unison. And he gives this verse as biblical backup. It's from Romans 15 verse 6. This is singing from the heart, singing to the Lord, singing the word. This is singing in unison. And Bonhoeffer makes such a big deal about singing in unison that he goes off on a rant against anything that's going to disrupt the unison singing in the church. There are some destroyers of unison singing in the fellowship that must be rigorously eliminated. There is no place in the service of worship where vanity and bad taste can so intrude as in the singing. He goes on to list 5 things that he thinks are going to disrupt the singing of the church. The first one he calls the improvised second part, or in other words, a harmony. And the second thing that Bonhoeffer bashes is the bass and the alto, or lower harmonies. Is at this point we think that maybe the people that Bonhoeffer was singing with just couldn't sing very well, or they weren't very good at harmonies. The third thing that Bonhoeffer says disrupts the singing of the church is the solo voice. You can imagine someone with a really good voice just showing off as they're singing. The fourth thing Bonhoeffer says is unmusical people. He says they're distracting as they sing. He does caveat this by saying there's not as many of these people as you might think. And the fifth and last thing in Bonhoeffer's sights are those who refuse to sing. He says it's discouraging when people aren't singing. Bonhoeffer's been careful to say that singing is more of a spiritual matter than a musical one, but he's just trying to be careful and minimize musical distractions. Or in other words, he's saying less is more. Okay, here's the potentially thorny bit of the video. Why might overplaying in a worship setting be bad? Well, our music has a purpose, that the message of Christ dwells in us richly as we sing. So we should play music with that goal in mind. John Piper has a great phrase. He says we should play our music with undistracting excellence. Or Bob Kauflin puts it like this. Congregations must be able to hear the message without being distracted by the medium. Think of our music in church like a picture frame. A picture frame doesn't draw attention to itself, but it supports the picture inside it. Just like our music should support the words that we're singing as a church. Or as Bonhoeffer would put it, the music is completely the servant of the word. Well, how exactly can we do that with our music? Well, this is really subjective, and it completely depends on the church and the context and the song and all sorts of other types of things. But possible examples could be not playing too many drum fills, or not having really busy bass lines. Or are there moments where musicians aren't playing? There should be moments where each musician is not playing in the song or in a service. Whatever it is, it may vary for you, but I still think Bonhoeffer's principle applies. Bonhoeffer says less is more. He's saying that as we sing in this less kind of way, it's going to lead to more. But before we get onto more, there's two questions I think we should ask. If we sing less often, the times that we do sing, will they be better? And if we sing fewer songs, will the songs that we end up singing, will we enjoy them more? Well, Bonhoeffer helpfully answers those questions too. A Christian family fellowship will therefore try to master as large as possible a number of hymns that can be sung freely from memory. He says we should sing as many songs as we can, but sing them from memory. I think that fits well with this video that I made about how many songs a church should sing. And he also says that we should sing often. But there should be singing not only at devotions, but at regular times of the day or week. The more we sing, the more joy we will derive from it. But, above all, the more devotion and discipline and joy we put into our singing, then richer will be the blessing that will come to the whole life of the fellowship from singing together. Let's move on to the more section then. We've already seen that Bonhoeffer says that we should sing more often, but he actually says that there's much more happening when we sing than we realise. One amazing phrase that Bonhoeffer uses to describe our singing, he says it's the voice of the church. It is the voice of the church that is heard in singing together. It is not you that sings, it is the church that is singing, and you, as a member of the church, may share in its song. When I sing at church, it's not just me and God. It's me and everyone else around me and God. It's the church gathered together, singing their praises to God and encouraging each other as they sing. But it's even more than that. The hymn is sung by the whole church of God, on earth and in heaven, and in which we are summoned to join. God has prepared for himself one great song of praise throughout eternity, and those who enter the community of God join in this song. God's inviting the church to join all of creation as they sing, and even join the saints and the angels in heaven. Think of those songs in the book of Revelation. On earth it is the song of those who believe. In heaven, the song of those who see. So Bonhoeffer says less is more. He says less musical complexity means that more people can join in and sing the word and join the praises of heaven. I don't know about you, but I don't hear that said very often. But this isn't a new or novel thought. Bonhoeffer said this, but there's also Christians throughout history who have been saying a similar thing. I made a video about a guy called Niceta of Ramesiana. He's a bishop from hundreds of years ago, and surprisingly he said a similar thing to Bonhoeffer. Perhaps as Christians we've lost something of what Christians used to be saying in the past. You can watch that video and many other videos about what dead Christians have said about music at this playlist right here. I'd also encourage you to read Dietrich Bonhoeffer's Life Together for yourself. You can read it for free in the link in the description below.
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.